Welcome back, everyone, to Mindful Brew. This is where we explore ancient wisdom at the speed of innovation.
And today, we've got something really interesting brewing.
Yeah, we're talking about Stoicism. I mean, it seems like it's absolutely everywhere these days, right? You see it with business leaders, in self-help books, even on, like, those Instagram quote cards.
Definitely. It's had a huge resurgence. And, there's a reason for that. It's
Yeah.
focused on virtue, reason, acceptance. It offers really practical stuff for just dealing with life.
Totally. But that's kind of the core of our deep dive today, isn't it? With this massive wave of popularity. And let's be honest, some commodification turning it into almost a product, is that actually a problem? The big question. Is the commodification and popularization of Stoicism a problem?
It's a really important question to ask. Because while it's great that these ideas are reaching more people, we need to look closely at how they're being presented. Are we getting the real deal? Or maybe a watered-down version?
Exactly. Is this popular way of actually simplifying things too much? Maybe even distorting what Stoicism was originally about? Could we be, in a way, kind of ruining it? And maybe philosophy more broadly. Let's dig into the sources.
Okay, so let's start with the good stuff. What does this popularization potentially get right?
Well, the practicality jumps out immediately, I think. People are looking for ways to manage their emotions, make better choices, just handle the day-to-day grind.
Right, and Stoicism delivers on that. You look at Marcus Aurelius in his meditations, he's constantly giving himself pep talks, almost.
Right.
Like reminding himself at the start of the day he's going to meet busybodies, arrogant people, ungrateful people.
Huh? Yeah, sounds familiar.
But then he tells himself, okay, don't get mad. Understand they just don't know the difference between good and evil. Respond with reason, not anger. That's super practical advice you can use, like today.
Absolutely. It's that focus on your own response. And that ties into the whole what's in our control thing from Epictetus's Enchiridion, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That distinction is so central. What's up to us? Our judgments, our impulses, our choices, our actions. What's not up to us? Our bodies, possessions, reputation, external events, basically everything else.
And just grasping that simple idea can be incredibly empowering, right? In a world that feels so chaotic and out of control, it gives you back a sense of agency. Focus here, not there.
Yeah, it provides an anchor. And then there's the emphasis on resilience, on acceptance. Marcus Aurelius, again, reflecting on how things like death, pain, pleasure, reputation, they're not inherently good or bad. They're just stuff that happens.
That's a tough one to really internalize, but yeah.
It is, but it offers a way to deal with adversity. Epictetus echoes this, saying we should wish for things to happen exactly as they do happen. It's about aligning yourself with reality, not fighting it constantly.
So you can totally see why these ideas are hitting home for so many people. They offer concrete tools, comfort, a framework. Accessibility is a big plus here.
For sure. Bringing these concepts out of dusty philosophy books and into the mainstream definitely has potential benefits, giving people tools to navigate life better.
Okay, so the positives are clear, but, and this is the big but, where might this popularization be going wrong? Because it often feels, I don't know, a bit shallow, like Stoicism light.
That's the heart of the concern, I think. One major issue is ignoring the broader philosophical context. Stoicism isn't just a collection of life hacks,
Right.
It's a complete system. It had metaphysics ideas about the nature of the universe, that it's rational, ordered, maybe even divine. It had logic, a focus on sound reasoning. And the ethics, how to live, grew out of that foundation.
So pulling out just the be-palm bits without the why,
No.
it loses something.
It really can. Marcus Aurelius' ethics, for example, are deeply tied to his understanding of nature and our interconnectedness. He talks about us being made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids. If you strip away that worldview, the ethical advice can feel a bit ungrounded, less profound.
Yeah, I get that. It becomes more about me feeling better and less about my place in the cosmos, maybe. Which leads to another point, right? This intense focus on individual gain.
Exactly. While Stoicism definitely aims for inner peace, resilience, virtue for the individual, it's also fundamentally social. Marcus Aurelius is constantly reminding himself of his duty to the common good, to others. He says, rational animals exist for one another.
So if the popular version is all toughen up for your success and forgets the we're in this together part, that's a distortion.
It feels like a significant skewing. It risks turning a philosophy partly about community and duty into something purely individualistic, almost selfish.
And then there's the whole commodification aspect, the self-help industry packaging it up into neat little steps, stoic hacks for productivity or whatever.
Yeah, that trivializes what is actually a really demanding lifelong practice. It's not supposed to be easy. It requires constant vigilance, self-examination, real effort.
Like Epictetus warned about, right? He wasn't impressed by people just quoting philosophers without doing the work.
Not at all. He compared them to children playing dress-up, trying on roles but never committing. He said true philosophy involves seriously considering your own nature, what you can actually bear, and it might mean hardship or even social disapproval, not just, a 5-step plan to crush your week.
Which brings us to virtue, the actual goal for the Stoics. Wisdom, justice, courage, temperance. That was the only true good.
The sole good. Everything else, health, wealth, reputation, was indifferent. Preferred, maybe, but not good in itself.
But the popular stuff sometimes frames it like, do these stoic things so that you'll be successful, happy, less stressed. The focus shifts to the external outcome, not the internal state of virtue itself.
Precisely. Marcus Aurelius says beautiful things, like kindness or truth, don't need anything added to them like praise to be complete. Virtue is its own reward. If you're using Stoic techniques purely to get rich or feel calm, you're kind of missing the philosophical core.
And all this simplification and focus on hacks, it just seems ripe for misunderstanding, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Without proper context, principles get misapplied. Like, does accepting what happens mean becoming totally passive and never fighting injustice? The Stoics certainly weren't passive.
Or does controlling your emotions mean suppressing everything and becoming some kind of unfeeling robot?
Right, which isn't the goal either. It's about understanding your emotions, judging them rationally, and not being ruled by irrational passions. Epictetus constantly warns us not to be carried away by impressions, by our initial judgments about things. He says it's not events, but a judgment of events that causes distress. That's a subtle but huge point.
Yeah, easily lost in a quick soundbite.
Very easily. A superficial take could lead someone to justify inaction or emotional detachment in a way that's actually harmful to themselves or their relationships. That interconnectedness piece gets lost.
Okay, so we've laid out the potential upsides, accessibility, practical tools, and the pretty significant downsides, simplification, distortion, commodification, which leads us back to the big one. Is this commodification actually ruining Stoicism, maybe even philosophy itself?
It's such a tough question, and I don't think there's a simple yes or no. You could argue, on one hand, that any exposure is good exposure.
The gateway drug argument?
Kinda, yeah. Maybe reading a self-help book that mentions Epictetus, even superficially, sparks someone's interest. Maybe they do then go and read the discourses or the Enchiridion themselves. Could be the first step on a deeper journey for some.
That's possible, introducing ideas they'd never encounter otherwise.
But the flip side is pretty concerning. If the vast majority of people only ever engage with this surface-level life hack version, does that dilute the real power of the philosophy? Does it lead to a cynical view where philosophy is just seen as another tool for self-optimization, like a new diet or productivity app?
Yeah, it loses its soul, maybe. Marcus Aurelius worried about people focusing on philosophical jargon rather than the actual substance, didn't he? He warned about pretenders.
He did. And that seems relevant here. Is the focus shifting from genuine understanding, wrestling with these deep ethical questions, and striving for that inner transformation, to just using the brand of Stoicism to feel better or get ahead?
Using it as a means to an external end rather than valuing the wisdom and the ethical development for its own sake.
That feels like the crux of it. If it becomes just another product in the marketplace of ideas consumed for its utility rather than its truth or its challenge, then yeah, I think you could argue it is being damaged. It risks cheapening not just Stoicism, but the whole endeavor of philosophy as a quest for wisdom.
So is the popularization and commodification of Stoicism a problem? Well, as we've chewed over, drawing on Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, it's definitely a mixed bag. Getting these powerful ideas out there, potentially great, offers real tools for modern life.
But the risk of oversimplifying, of losing the deep philosophical roots, of turning it into just another self-help trend, that's very real too.
Absolutely. So the challenge for you listening right now is really to engage critically. If you're interested in Stoicism, don't just stop at the memes or the quick summaries. Try, actually diving into the original text. Strive for that genuine, holistic understanding, not just the easy takeaways.
And maybe the most Stoic thing we can do right now is actually this critically examining the phenomenon itself, using reason, questioning appearances, seeking a deeper understanding rather than just accepting the popular version. That feels very much in the spirit of the philosophy.
That's a fantastic point, applying the method to the madness, so to speak. Well, we hope this deep dive has given you some serious food for thought here on Mindful Brew.
Yeah, hopefully something to really mull over.
If you enjoyed unpacking this with us, please do subscribe and like Mindful Brew wherever you get your podcasts. We love exploring this ancient wisdom for our pretty fast-paced world.
And don't forget, you can also sign up for our free newsletter, more insights, resources, that kind of thing, over at www.mindfulbrew.co.
That's mindfulbrew.c-o. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep brewing those mindful thoughts.